You heard of climate adaptation, and sometimes you hear about transformational adaptation. What does that mean? Well, adaptation in general is about adjusting or adapting to changing climate, things that you cannot avoid, managing the unavoidable, as we say. So it could be just building defenses against mitigation or protecting crops with various methods like making sure there's enough water and so on. These are called incremental adaptations because you are trying to maintain a lifestyle and adjust to the changes that are happening. The idea of transformational adaptation is to say we're going to throw away the old ways and maybe just jump into a new way of doing things because the climate is going to change so much that old ways are not viable anymore. And obviously there'll be disruption, but how to actually plan them, how to implement them, and what are the pathways to get there, and what happens if along the pathway there are disruptions to your plans of transformational adaptation and so on. So this podcast gets into a little bit of discussion on how we think of incremental adaptation and transformational adaptation, and how do we monitor and make sure that we are headed in the right direction and learn from the mistakes along the way and learn to do it better. So have flexible ideas, and what are the pathway dependencies, and how do we avoid the so-called maladaptation spaces. In other words, you plan for some expected climate change, but what you did is exactly the opposite of what is needed, or climate changes in a way that what you did is going to be a maladaptation instead of the adaptation that you planned for and implemented. So serious issues. Listen to the podcast and comment, send me questions. Important topic, and there are some case studies as well. Okay.